Okay. Good morning from Dallas, Texas. Katerina, it's great to have you here for one more edition of RIMPAGE on LinkedIn, where we expand on RIMPAGE's vision. Of course, RIMPAGE is built on principles that can be extrapolated and applied elsewhere in life, and that's what we talk about here, is how those principles can be used elsewhere. Katerina, how are you today?
I love that. Good afternoon, Patrick. It is very dull and gray in London. It seems that our weather is kind of misty November. It's matching
Yes,
today.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's good to
yes,
see you, and I look forward to elaborating more on this topic that is going to stay present with us, no
yes,
doubt, as we carry on these
absolutely.
conversations.
Yes.
So tell us what
Today,
we are talking about today.
today we are talking about the mental equivalent. It's a
Mm,
principle that if you put it into practice, it will absolutely change your life. The
mm.
mental equivalent. Um,
You mean that we are not already practicing it? But perhaps we are not consciously practicing.
absolutely. And that's the big thing about this is we're not going to ask you to do anything new. You're already
Mm,
doing this. We're just going to
mm.
help you direct it so that you get the
Yes.
results you want. But
Oh, I
it's
like
it's
the sound of that.
it's power that you're already using every
Mm.
day. We just want to make you more aware of how you're using it.
Yes, be more deliberate and focused and on purpose with
Yes,
what you
yes,
are creating in your life experience.
yes. You can
Mm,
think of it like if your life is a bus, you've been in the passenger seat, you've been
mm,
going along for the ride, looking out the window saying, I wish I could go here, I wish I could go there. What
mhm.
we're going to do today is help you get in the driver's seat. And then, or perhaps better put, help you to see that you are already in the driver's seat and
Yes.
help you to wake up and drive to where you actually want to go because you are absolutely in the driver's seat,
Do you know
just
that?
feeling like a passenger.
Yes, that distinction makes all the difference in the
Yeah,
world. That really
absolutely.
makes it takes you from just being a participant in your own life
Hmm.
to actually being in command of your own life.
Yes, yes, you're the director. You're the
Mm.
director. So, mental equivalent, shall we tell them what it is, Katharina?
Yes,
I
yes,
will put it
yes.
in my words, but then I'd also like to hear you describe it in your words. For
Mhm.
me, mental equivalent is all about attention.
Mm.
And it's understanding that whatever you give prolonged attention to, you form a picture of in your mind, and then your outward
Very good.
world will start to reflect that picture.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whether you're aware of it or not, you are
Yes.
actually participating in the creation of the world that you experience every day by what you're giving your attention to. I like to think of it in that sense, in terms of
Very good. It's
attention.
very accurate. And I would use a different word. I would use a word focus,
Oh,
right?
yes,
But it
yes,
is the same thing, right? Our attention is our focus. And
yes, yes.
sometimes, Patrick, we think we are not thinking about something. And we
Hmm.
say, I don't want this in my experience. And I will
Yes.
explain to you why I don't want it. And I will
Yes.
justify to you why I don't want it. And I'm going
Yes.
to affirm to myself that I really don't want. I'm done with this and I do not want that.
And what have you been
What
talking
have I
about?
done? What have I achieved? Go on and tell me.
You've been talking about it. You've been putting your attention on it. Even though you're thinking that you're negating it, it's coming out of your mouth. It's on your
Mhm.
mind. And that's
I'm
what the
thinking
mental
about
equivalent
nothing
is.
else but that thing
Yes,
that I
yes,
don't want
yes,
to think about and that I do not want in my
yes, yes.
experience anymore.
Now, there's
Mm,
a beautiful illustration that tells us the right way to negate something.
you
It's
went right
if you
there.
have,
Yes.
so imagine you have a board and you have a nail and you
Yes.
hammer this nail into the board. That nail is in there now. And let's say that board is your mind and the nail is the thought that you want to
Mm,
get out of there.
mhm.
You don't do it by hammering another nail next to that one. You put your new nail right on top of the head of that one and drive it out of the board. When you hammer the new nail in, you automatically force the old one out. That old one is the thought, is the thing that you want to negate.
Mhm.
That's how we do it. That's the proper way
Beautiful.
to do
We do not put any focus on it. We just
it. Right.
replace it with a new thought that
A
is more
new thought.
accurate, more precise, more in
Yes.
line with where we want to go and what we want to witness in our experience. I love that.
Right.
And you read my mind, by the way. I was just trying to say
Yes.
the
Yes. Uh,
example of the is so vivid.
Yes.
It's so vivid. It
Right.
really is.
Right.
It's really accurate.
Mhm. And
Go ahead.
another example would be if I told you, Katerina, whatever you do for the rest of this call, do not think of the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, I
Immediately your mind goes where?
to
The
the
lady
Statue of
holding the torch.
Liberty. Yeah,
Even though I told you, don't think about it. Don't think about the Statue of Liberty. Your
exactly.
mind goes there immediately. So what
Absolutely.
if I were to tell you that there's a place in downtown Fort Worth here in
Mm.
Texas, and they serve the best donuts ever. You wake up in the morning and that's the first thing on your mind is these fresh donuts and all the different flavors. And as I'm describing this, what happened to the thought of the Statue of Liberty?
It's
It
gone.
just
I didn't think of it. The moment you said donuts,
it, it vanished immediately. It
absolutely.
vanished. That's the proper way to negate something in the
Wow.
mind, is to just
Wow.
replace it with a new, better thought or
Mm.
the mental equivalent of what you actually do want.
And
What
I'm
about
I'm
that
so
part? What you
glad. I
actually
love
want?
it. I love it because we have presented this maybe in a playful way, and
Yes.
and I hope that it gets your attention.
Mm,
I really
yes.
hope it
Yes.
gets your attention because it doesn't have to be any more serious than that, but actually it is what is happening in our experience. It is what
Right.
we are doing to ourselves, right? We
Yes.
are focusing on things we no longer want in our experience.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
only way to completely annihilate those thoughts is by not quitting to think about them. And the only way we can quit is
Right.
if we replace it with something else. And we should
Absolutely.
replace it with something deliberate, with something
Yes.
that we want
That
to
we
witness,
want. And
want in
so
our
that's
experience.
the big but the
Yeah.
simple lesson for today is to
Mm,
just start thinking about what you want.
yes.
Envision the kind of life you want and just put your mind on that and
Mm,
start imagining the details of it and how it'll feel when you're in that.
mm,
And when you do that, you're automatically creating it. It's like the first step to creating it and
yes,
bringing it into your existence, into your experience.
exactly.
Very simple, but very
Exactly.
powerful.
Exactly. And just waking up to that awareness. So bringing it from your probably unconscious way of creating your life experience, or maybe let's say in larger part, it is
Yes.
unconscious, it's subconscious, right? But
Right.
our subconscious mind can be trained, can be retrained. We can absolutely change the patterns that are
Yes.
no longer
Yes.
serving us. And
Yes.
how can we change
Patterns.
them? We can only change them if we notice them, if we acknowledge that
Right.
this isn't serving. This isn't
Right.
serving. There's a better way. And we are suggesting something to you today, and we'll go deeper into this subject next week because in 15 minutes span, it's not enough to cover all of these
Right.
subjects.
Right.
Right? But this is something that is it's going to permeate every single call that we in everything that we talk about. This is the
Mhm.
basis, this is the
Right. In fact, we've been practicing it since we've been doing this live on LinkedIn. Think
yes,
about what we give attention to. What do we
yes.
talk about? Do we spread awareness about all the bad things that can happen to us? No, we're directing your attention to your own power and
Yes,
helping you to see how that you already are empowered and just to pick up your power. Like
exactly.
sometimes I think, Katerina, we wake up in the morning and we get dressed and we walk out the door and we leave our power at home. We're just saying, take it with you.
We just sign off our power at any given
Yes. Yes.
moment. We agree to disempower ourselves, but and we
Right.
just have to become aware again that this is something that is a
Mhm.
simple matter of choice, right? It's just as
Yes.
available.
Yes.
It's just
It's just
empowering
as
choice
available.
is just as available. It's just that
Yes.
we are not in habit of choosing it, right?
That's
So
it.
it's the
That's it.
habit that needs to be corrected,
Yes.
that
And
needs to change.
what a joyful change that is. We're simply suggesting that you just start thinking about life as you would like for it to be
Yes.
and
Yeah.
consistently and continually think about life as you would want it to be
Yeah.
until it becomes a habit and then just watch things start to change for you and that
So
something
we are
else happens.
amazed.
It's another big part of this
Mhm.
First off is thinking those thoughts, but then the other part is the feeling part. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that? The
Oh my
interesting
goodness.
part.
The feeling part to me is all important in all of this, in all of this
Hmm.
process, because we numb our feelings, we overlook our feelings, right?
Hmm.
But our feelings are the most accurate guide
I
in
like
our
that.
life, right? The most
Wow.
accurate. If something doesn't sit right inside you, it's your inner being indicating to you that you are in misalignment with your inner
Yes.
world. So you need to pay attention to that. So overlooking those signs, right, that something
Hmm.
doesn't sit right with us for some reason, um, it's a first sign, I would say, that we are in discord. We are not aligned with our inner world. And the only way that we can reach for bigger dreams and goals is if
Hmm.
we remain in alignment. If we
Yeah.
mind that we are in alignment with our inner truth. If we are not in deepest resonance with our inner truth,
Hmm.
the road to our dreams is going to be much harder, much longer, unnecessarily so. Because
Yeah.
the power to navigate our life is in those feelings, right? So perhaps feelings have to be a separate subject here.
Yes.
Becoming
That
aware
is so
of our
powerful
feelings. Hmm.
that you can use your feelings to navigate
Definitely.
because they're true. You
Yes,
cannot
so
fool.
true.
You
Yeah.
cannot fool them.
Mhm.
You can't hide them. You can't mask them. You can't
Yes.
orchestrate them. They just sort of spring up. And
Hmm.
so I like what you said. Pay attention to what
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
feeling
And there
and
is
then
no
use
right
that to
and wrong.
navigate.
What is right for me may not be
Hmm.
right for you. You have to follow your truth, and I have to follow my truth, right?
Right. Right.
Irrelevant whether our truths align with other people's truth. That is not the
Hmm.
point. They automatically will be in alignment with bigger picture, because if we are in harmony with our inner world, we will
Yeah.
automatically be in harmony with all there is and with people who are in harmony with their own inner world.
Wow.
Yes.
that that's fascinating.
Mm,
That's fascinating because we hear a lot about our logic and reasoning, and I think that's kind of where the world is today on logic and reasoning and science and stuff.
mm.
But I think we sort of treat feelings like this frivolous thing that sort of gets in the way of our clear thinking.
Do you
But
think it isn't scientific? Do you really think that I believe it
wow.
is our nature. Our
Hmm.
nature and who we are is the most, like, we are walking, talking, and breathing scientists, each
Yes.
and every
Yes.
one of you.
Yes.
Life is a science. And maybe I always choose to say life is an art because I
Uh-huh.
like that freedom of expression. I like the
Yes.
limitless possibility. But if you really look deeply from scientific point of
Hmm.
view, you will also find that the possibilities are
Right.
infinite,
Right.
infinite out
Right.
there. So you see, the two are aligned like this.
Yes. Yes.
In
So
fact,
you
I,
can
I believe,
substantiate it.
yes, I just believe that we're using different terms, that we can choose to
Yes.
use different terms, but the experience, the essence of it is one.
Mhm. Right. So
Mm.
pay attention. Pay attention to how you're feeling in any
Mm.
given moment. When you walk in that job or when you think about going to work, pay attention to how you're feeling. Or
Yes.
when you're contemplating a new business to start, pay
Mm.
attention to how that feels. When you envision yourself doing it,
Exactly. And
you
if
are creating a mental
you,
equivalent.
yes, absolutely. And if you have missed our talk with Coach Joy, I'm going to put
Ah,
a link in description for you, because you will see that we have testimony of our own life
yes.
experience to bring to the table when we talk about these
Yes.
things, right? So we have had experience working for other people versus working for ourselves. It feels differently. And because it feels differently, therefore it's more easy. It is easier.
There's the word.
Even if it uses hard work, right? It feels like
Yeah.
play. It feels like enjoyment. It feels like
Yeah.
upliftment. It feels like contribution. It feels like we have infinite energy. It feels like it replenishes itself, because it does.
Right. And that's something we get to enjoy every day. We don't have to wait until the goal is realized to enjoy that. Wow, just that we can begin to enjoy the journey, waking up every day, taking those steps, being in that flow, creating that mental equivalent, inhabiting those pictures that you're creating in your mind. It will change you. It'll change
Yeah.
before you realize the goal. It'll
Change your
change your life.
experience. Yes, Patrick, that is it. It will change your experience. Your day to day, your moment to moment will be enjoyable. And that is the point of life, is for you to enjoy the adventure, to enjoy the journey in every
Yeah,
single step,
yeah.
right?
And
The point
Katerina,
isn't the destination, it is experience to that destination.
think about this. What are we charging for this? What
Mm.
does it cost you to create a mental equivalent?
Yeah, nothing.
You don't even have to wait until you get the money. You can just
Yes,
sit there right there where you are now and just start thinking differently.
that's it.
Start thinking about what you want. I think so many
Start
people won't even
imagining.
allow
Yes,
themselves to think about what they want.
absolutely. No,
Do it.
they do think about it. This is the thing, and we're running up out of time here,
Uh,
Patrick. But this is the thing, that this is what causes unease inside us, is we
oh,
are aware. We are aware, but we are suppressing that awareness.
ah,
Each one of us
yeah.
wants to expand, and we know this is the version of myself that I want to
Mm-hmm.
live and that I want to experience. And I am here today, right? And I'm feeling this gap. So, what am I
Oh,
doing regarding that feeling? Am I trying to numb
yes.
that feeling today to say this is a
Oh,
too big of a gap for me to join?
right, right.
Or am I doing something to ease that gap, to tell myself that if this was possible for many, many, many,
Yes,
many
yes,
people, it is
yes,
possible for me
yes,
too, or could be
yes,
possible for me too.
yes.
Only in that we feel relief. We no longer feel
Yeah.
constricted, we don't feel restricted, we don't feel
Mhm.
limited, right? Just giving ourselves
Right.
permission to dream.
Yeah. And to
Let's
know
begin that.
we can shrink that gap. We can
Yes.
totally erase that gap.
Our
So
life
many
is all
people haven't
about
done it
that.
before.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
And
I
it's
love.
as simple as a decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's as
Yes.
simple as a decision. I
I love
love it.
how you put it. Start creating a mental equivalent, being aware of actually where you want to go. So it's another word for vision. It's another word for
Yeah.
dream, right? And
Yes.
it might resonate with you better in
Right.
this term.
Right.
Beautiful. So shall we be back
Uh,
next Monday to explore deeper on this subject?
yes. And
Yeah.
please leave comments, questions, and share with us your experience and how is this helping you. We'd
Yes.
like to hear those stories.
We would love to hear, and then we like to extend this conversation and perhaps invite you
Yeah.
in one day, because you are
Yes.
part of this conversation. You are the reason why we are
Absolutely.
showing up here.
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you, Patrick, as ever, and thank you to all of you who are watching and supporting these calls. Let them empower you. Take
Yes.
take control of the wheel, of the
You're
steering
in the
wheel
driver's
of your
seat.
life.
Wake up and drive.
Absolutely. See you next Monday. Have a